What's good, Marquitos?
We're back, baby. I know the
We're
listeners
back.
missed me. I was out in Indy for my 35th birthday. Thank you for all the well
Hey.
wishes, gentlemen. But the king is back, and the king is ready to hold court.
Oh
4
my
and 0,
God,
commish.
man. The
We,
king.
I
All
mean,
right.
I
All right,
had to
look.
start by saying it, right?
I
It
mean, I
bears
was gonna
mentioning.
I was gonna save it, but since you're getting your glow on, let's just let's take a look at
Oh,
mine right
there it
here, bro.
is. There it is.
Thanos, baby. I keep calling him
Yep.
Thanos, man, because all right, we weren't gonna start the show off like this, but uh the record is unreal, bro. Like 4-0, the most points. Not only that, okay, you guys remember last season when we were gassing up Mike's team all year long, saying like who's gonna beat him, like the depth is crazy on the team, all this and that. Look, Mike ended up winning the whole thing, okay, despite injuries, despite everything. So,
Yep.
this year, your team is better this year than Mike's team last year. I think, in my personal opinion. Um, it's just
Hey, you love to hear it. You love to hear it.
so from until you go down, man. It's Thanos, baby. All right, the metrics will be known as Thanos now. So please, make sure you respect him and talk to him accordingly. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, baby.
Uh,
Yeah,
we're
it
back.
feels good, man. I'm 70 points ahead of second place right
All
now.
right,
So just
cool.
not just the 4-0, but the point total are keeping me optimistic because we all know that injuries could derail any team. I mean, you only have to look at Jeremy's
Oh
team to figure that out.
no, you can
Which
look
we'll
at
get
my team.
into.
Well,
You can look at your team. Any Cooper Cup owners out there are feeling it right now. So injuries can plague any team, but 70 points ahead of second place, man, it gives me some confidence that I could keep this up going forward.
yes, sir. And with that being said, man, this is finally the first week of us doing the actual full and show in its entirety. Power rankings are back at the end of the show, ladies and gentlemen. But our famous, what we have the most fun on, I think, man. The Have You Seen This Ish is back.
That's right, baby.
We are
Have you
so
seen
back.
this ish? I was a fan favorite last year. People sending us some HYSTS stuff. Yeah, we're ready to get back into it.
Let's get it popping, man. I know it's been a couple of weeks. We haven't been really on our pod game, but this is a hot story this year, man. The whole Diddy situation came across this 1,000 bottles of baby oil. Diddy walking into the freak off, bro, looking like the Silver Surfer.
This boy Diddy, man. Like, and how many? The question I have for you, Kamish, is we know now we've heard today reports of upwards of 120 people potentially suing Diddy for this stuff. Do we see any NFL players this year get caught up in the Diddy sting? Does this have fantasy implications?
Dang, could you imagine? Actually, there was a video the other day that came out that said the names that about to release are gonna shock everybody. But I mean, they said the same thing about Epstein, and that list never came out. Uh, but hey, man, I think everybody here, like, there's a lot of people that are not that think they're untouchable that aren't gonna. I mean, I can't wait, man. Like, I just want to know who was at these parties and what was going down. And I mean, to find 1,000 bottles of baby oil is some wild shit. And to top it off, his lawyer said that they bought them in bulk from Costco. Costco just came out and said, you know what? We don't even sell baby oil. So
So it's a
straight
bad
up.
excuse by the lawyer there, and we know from some of these videos that Odell Beckham Jr. was at some of these parties. So
Mhm.
it's not beyond the realm of possibility that some of these other young wide receivers, some of these stud athletes, are at these Diddy all white parties, and
Yeah, Sam
maybe come
Darnold,
December they
maybe.
get caught. Sam Darnold. That would be a real change
just
of pace, but
just
yeah.
derail the Vikings. Can you imagine Sam Darnold?
Oh man. I would
a,
love
vi-
to see that just for the chisme.
a video of Darnold at the freak offs, man, and then the whole Vikings organization it just goes to shit after that. Uh, like, what is the definition? What is Diddy's definition of a freak off, though? Like, Mark, what is your definition of a freak off, bro? Like,
Oh man, it's something you need 1,000 bottles of baby oil for. Apparently, like, good lord, Diddy, that's like
yeah.
that's to the extreme. He's been saying take that in all his songs for 20 years, and now we're surprised that this guy's getting caught up in sex trafficking.
Yeah, it's wild, man. Like, are we to the point though where we can't listen to his music? Cause like he has a lot of hits. He really does. Are you at the point where it's just like, we're skipping, we're hitting next on these Diddy
I mean,
songs, or are we waiting? We waiting for it to
yeah,
unfold.
I think we skip like we were talking about this in another group chat, but you gotta have MJ level skills to be able to molest kids. Like Michael Jackson, you could give him one or two, give him a pass, right?
One or
Because
two
of all
spins.
those hits. Yeah, one or two spins. That's it. R. Kelly, the hits weren't big enough, and definitely if Kelly didn't have it, then Diddy doesn't have the hits big enough for one or two spins either. So yeah, I think it's a full ban on Diddy.
Yeah, full band. I agree, man. Our next, have you seen this ish? Um, this I found kind of interesting, man. A study says that men require at least two guys' nights a week to stay healthy, study said. And we see this in live action, bro, because we got Jeremy on one end who's happy as shit every time I see him. This guy's going out 4, 5, 6 times a week. And then we got Tyler on the other side who like never goes out during the week. And I feel like he's
He's on
miserable, bro.
lockdown. Yeah, yeah. No, I think 2 nights a week is ideal, and those nights should be like Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday mornings, because Sunday, mornings don't count, right? That's not a night. So give us Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then we'll be with the ladies during the week.
But like, are you averaging two a week? Because like I
No,
mean,
no, I wish,
it's like,
bro.
what's the age group for this? Because I mean, I think I'm like good with one, even just like one
Yeah,
solid outing.
yeah. I mean, it takes me like 4 days to recover from one solid outing nowadays. So
Older
yeah, I
shit.
feel you. Yeah.
Oh man. And for our last have you seen this ish? This one's this one's pretty good, man. So a better, right? So we don't have this app. This is on DraftKings Sportsbook, by the way, where you can just bet. Oh, actually it was FanDuel. You can bet on like the most craziest stuff, man. I've never seen any of these lines. Anyway, somebody put $100 that on this particular drive, Jared Goff would catch a touchdown reception, right? $100 to win 8.5K. And the reason why it's freaking so hilarious is the dude that retweeted this and said, "Don't care if it cashed. Whoever put 100 on that shit needs to call the number."
They do, man. Come on now. Like this is a ridiculous bet. The sixth overall touchdown too. Like this line was insane. But to hit it, I mean, the man hit the bet. I
Yeah, but
mean,
like
you see these
how
first touchdown scorers and all that. First down touchdown score, pick three guys, and then these bets hit.
man, like how many volcano hits do you think you have to be in to like really look at your phone and be like, you know what, Jared Goff he's catching a reception touchdown on this drive. He's this is the drive. He's catching a
Yeah.
reception touchdown.
I mean, he is 6'3", right? Like he's a
But
he's a
come
tall
on.
dude, so
What
he's
are the
got the
odds
length.
of this
Yeah,
shit, man?
yeah.
Buy a lotto ticket. Holy hell. And you know what? Another thing on that is like I'm surprised that only paid 8.5K. Like put 100 on that because that just sounds outrageous. When does that ever happen? And to call it on that drive, man, that guy can see the future. Um,
That guy
but
probably bets $100 on like 30 things a day. That's the only way you hit that one. It's a volume game at that point.
yeah. But man, I was speaking of betting, just to toss this in there, man. The price picks. I don't know if Mark is fully back yet. I know me and Mark were back and forth sending plays for a while, and then it got out of hand real quick, real fast. So we kind of deleted the app and started back up again, man. But I hate Patrick Mahomes, man. I have to throw this out
There
there
it
because
is.
This was to win $880, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this correlation slip, man. I took Baker Mayfield to have 2 touchdowns, one of them to throw to Mike Evans. Another correlation, Trevor Lawrence to have 2. He's been playing like ass lately. And one of those to go to the rookie Brian Thomas. Jaden Daniels to have 2. All this hit. And Patrick Mahomes, man. Mahomes can't give me 2, bro. He can't.
Your boy who you said has the best NFL contract for a QB. Are those $500 million that Mahomes got from the Chiefs? Is that hurt that you couldn't get at least 800 back from your boy?
Bro, I knew you were gonna bring that because I always give you shit about when you said Mahomes was like the worst contract of all time, right? But this is perfect because we're talking about Mahomes, and we're just gonna bring this into one of we want to talk about the players that are kind of panicking right now in the fantasy. And like, is it time to drop, hit the panic button? Like, what are we doing? And what a way to roll into this segment than by adding this man. Red alert for Patrick Mahomes. Like this guy's numbers have been unreal for like the last 17 games. He has not had a 20-point fantasy performance in like the last 19 straight fantasy games. The production isn't there compared to previous seasons. Yeah, I mean, we all remember the one year where and it was crazy. Like I think you had to double check me, Mark, when I threw the stats at you, but his first year in the league, technically, his first starting year when he came out and he threw for over 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns when he won NFL MVP. Like, I think people are holding on to this and maybe the next 2 seasons as like, but this is a different offense now, man. It's just check downs and running the football now in Kansas City. And I personally think that Patrick Mahomes is not a viable starter in fantasy anymore.
Yeah, and look, man, it's a different team than it was when before Pacheco went down. When you're keeping the defense honest, this Carson Steele or Cameron Steele, whatever this guy's name is, he's not an imposing running back who's gonna run through the line like Pacheco is. So, people are gonna basically just force Mahomes to throw it to one of these wide receivers who are basically would be third string, fourth string guys on any other team. Obviously, you got the rookie who's fast, but Rashi Rice is out. There's no longer the cheetah over there. Travis Kelsey is a just shadow of who he was in his prime. So it's not all on Mahomes because the weapons really aren't there for the guy. But yeah, I mean, as a fantasy quarterback, it's not somebody you could just plug in and trust week in, week out because he's not the guy that he was, 5 seasons ago.
Yeah, I mean, even then, even if he had a healthy I mean, we all know Rasheed Rice has been balling. Rasheed actually in half PPRs, it's crazy. He's actually been outscoring Mahomes at the quarterback position. But it's like you're not comfortable, especially with all these guys like man, Sam Darnold who's been killing it, Jaden Daniels who's been freaking amazing. Even he's kind of falling into the Kyler Murray ish this year because Kyler hasn't been that hot either. But um, are you good with 15 points a week with your quarterback, like average?
I mean, obviously not because I have 2 of the best quarterbacks in the league, thankfully, in,
Oh,
in
come on,
Dak
Thanos.
Prescott
Come on,
and
Thanos.
Jaden Daniels. But yeah, no, I think at this point, if you're going to be like looking to win fantasy football games, you might be better served by starting a fully mobile quarterback over a guy who's throwing like Mahomes is. And it's a tough sell when you're going to start a Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback, for example, but
Who's
he's
been
put
doing
up more
better?
points. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, he's been putting up more points than Mahomes, and like the way that fantasy football is scored is just you're going to get more bang for your buck out of a guy that's running the ball versus a guy that's throwing the ball. So,
You
there's something to
dropping?
be said about a Justin Fields out there. I think still on the waiver wire in our league, but
Like Justin
no, not
Fields?
dropping.
Oh,
Not
come
dropping,
on.
obviously.
Come
Come on.
on.
I mean, you can't drop Mahomes, but I think he'd be he'd be comfortable on my bench for a couple weeks until he gets his shit together.
If he gets his shit
Trade for
together.
Tyreek. Trade for Tyreek. Right?
Come on. That's not happening. Our next guy on this list now, I just want to start by saying every tight end, almost every tight end, the position has been horrendous this year. Like there was so much hope and hype for every single tight end, and it's been so whack. I think Jared Goff. I think I saw a stat that Jared Goff has more reception touchdowns with that one that he had than like Travis Kelsey, Mark Andrews. Obviously, there were some other tight ends in there, but just to show you how bad it's been. Uh, this guy for me, if he's on my roster, and this is gonna sound crazy, but I'm dropping, man. I'm dropping Mark Andrews. 2 back-to-back games with donuts. And I think he has under 10 fantasy points through 4 games. Mark, am I crazy? Am I crazy for saying this?
No, I think at this point, Mark Andrews is a waiver wire guy because there's too much value out there in other positions, and we're talking about a tight end who's what 30 years old, has had numerous knee surgeries, ankle surgeries, tore his quad, broke a bone in his thigh. Like this is a guy who's definitely had a significant injury enough, history enough where there's arguments that he should be retiring due to these injuries. But the Ravens are using him as a pass block or as a pass block guy. Like he can still block, but he's not going to get off on routes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this is a waiver wire. You can't start.
I mean, yeah, like I said, back-to-back donuts, and not only that, 1 target in each of those games. I didn't get a chance to look at the route percentage of him, but Isaiah Likely's actually the better option, even though after week 1 he hasn't been doing as great, but at least he's getting something. Whereas Andrews has really just been missed in this offense. And he used to be such a focal point too. But for me, man, I think it's time to hang it up and find other tight ends out there. I mean, the Muth has been great, man. Nobody talks about the Muth that much, but this guy, 4 starts, 4 games, 4 catches in every game, 4+ catches in every game. He had a great game last week with the tutty, but uh, there's just other options out there, man. It's time to let the high draft capital go, man. We're in week 5. It's
Yeah.
time to move on. Um, our next guy, and Ty, if you're watching, bro, I literally just noticed. I don't mean to bash your team because you have a better record than me, but 2 of your guys are up here, so I apologize if you're saying, "Oh my God, Sergio's just throwing these guys up." But me and Mark had already agreed on this list. But ah, Garrett Wilson, man, I'll let you take this one, bro. What do you think about
See
Garrett
this
Wilson right now?
this is a tough one for me because obviously this is the first full year with Aaron Rodgers, right? So Aaron Rodgers tends to target one guy. So far, he hasn't really been connecting with Rodgers the same way that guys that Rodgers has played with for a number of years have. Um, the one thing I will say about Garrett Wilson that puts me more on the bullish side of this, like he's not performing as well as you'd want in terms of fantasy points. There's no getting around that, but his targets have remained pretty consistently high. He had 11 targets in week 1, and then the last couple of weeks he's gotten at least over 8 targets. That's pretty good for a wide receiver 1.5, 1.2. It's not somebody who you're going to brag about getting 13, 14 targets like some of these guys with Cooper Cup when he's healthy getting, a ridiculous amount of targets. But 8 targets per game, I think that is a good floor. And I think that as much as you'd like to see more out of Garrett Wilson through these first 4 weeks, I think for the rest of the season he should perform about
It,
where he was drafted.
and it's not so much the like I love the target share, right? Like they're high. I love the target share, the targets he's getting. It's just the receptions actually aren't bad. He's averaging about 5 receptions a game. It's just these receptions are going for like little to no yards, man. Like how are you going to get 5 receptions and only 40 yards out of it? Or like the game before that, 5 receptions for 33 yards. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is not slinging the rock, but we know even though the Jets had bad quarterback last season, they were at least slinging the ball like past 15, 20 yards, and Garrett was eating up these long, receptions. But that's kind of been limited. I don't know what's wrong with the Jets, man. I really don't know. Is it a jet? Is it a coaching issue? Is it? I thought they had all the pieces and they were supposed to dominate this
Oh,
year.
we lost Kamish there for a second. Are you back? We
Oh, we're
back,
good.
Kamish?
Yeah, yeah, we're good.
We're good. Okay, sorry, lost you for a second there. Yeah, but um, just to end I think you make a good point with Garrett Wilson, but to end the discussion on this particular player, he has faced like two or three of the hardest defenses in the league in Tennessee, Denver, faced San Francisco at San Francisco, and New England at home. So these are all tough defenses with good secondaries. I am slightly bullish that Garrett Wilson will have a turnaround as the season goes on.
Yeah. But are you panicking? Are you panicking yet with these numbers, or are
No,
you cool?
no
You're
panic
good.
yet. I'm cool with Garrett Wilson.
All right, these next two guys on this list both went in the first round of almost every single fantasy football draft this summer, and both really haven't been giving you RB1 production, man. If I'm being honest, because you got studs like James Conner in the later rounds, David Montgomery, man. I hate that. I hate him, bro. I hate him so much. Stop smiling, Thanos. I hate David Montgomery.
And
Uh,
it's a good mention though, because David Montgomery has had like a real true timeshare with Jahmyr Gibbs and in a very run heavy offense. And he's turned those touches into explosive plays, like we saw this guy trucking DBs and then going for 35 yards, getting touchdowns. But at the same time, Jahmyr Gibbs is performing well as well. I mean, got 2 TDs in the last game. The difference is with this Breece Hall and Bijan, both of these guys appear to be in running back by committee timeshare type situations where Breece Hall has got a 20-year-old who's getting more yards per carry so far to start the season.
yeah.
And Bijan's got a Tyler Algier who's in the last 2 games has gotten better yards per carry, and in the most recent game, more touches, more attempts from scrimmage than Bijan. So that's not something you want to see from a number 2 overall pick and a number 3 overall pick in average drafts.
Now, like, why is Brees Hall getting so much hate from the fantasy community? I mean, we understand now, even as it gets further in, you could see it that the time split is really like you said, he's losing a lot of touches now, and you saw it last week in Denver. But it, I think when they drafted Brees Hall so high, they expected because man, if you remember last year toward the end of the season, this guy was giving you 30 bombs like on a weekly basis. And I mean, even though he's splitting a lot of touches right now, he's still like very viable out of the backfield. He's just not catching as many of these targets, but um, he has been. Is it hard to say like he's been underperforming even though he's been given 15, 20, 16, and 2? I mean, one kind of bad week, but do you expect more, like at least 20 plus a week from Brees Hall?
I would like to see more attempts from scrimmage because that like for a Breece Hall, like I drafted him in other leagues as the number 1 running back. Obviously, McCaffrey went number 1 in every league, but beyond that, like I took Breece Hall in a league because I thought he was the second best running back. This is not exactly second best running back in terms of usage, right? If you're looking for somebody at that position, you want a guy who's touching the ball at least 18 times per game. If you could get more than 18, 20 times per game is an ideal RB1. I mean, not to go back to my team too much, right? But a guy like Derrick Henry, who's getting 25 touches, attempts from scrimmage, and 24 attempts from scrimmage, like he's almost doubling the amount of times he's running the ball than Breece Hall, which is a pretty wide gap.
Yeah. And like so Breece, I think he'll end up picking up. I think the whole Jets offense is gonna really start to click and kind of, put it together. Um, I think he'll be okay. Our next guy here, this is let me bring him up. Bijan Robinson, man. Let me just pull up his numbers. I know he's a um I am an owner, and I kind of they haven't really let him loose, bro. Like, what is going on? I mean, he's starting off better than he did with Arthur Smith last season, but still, I really need for him to kind of like just break one off, man. I want to see a 20, 30 point game from this guy. And Algier is really cutting into it. I know he's hurt right now with a hamstring injury. Um, Listen, my question, since I have him, is: are you shopping him around, or are you being patient? Because last year, just to kind of give an example, um, Jameer Gibbs started off slow, man. I was getting shit for drafting Jameer Gibbs all last year, and then week 8 on, this guy just became a menace. And I feel like Bijan and Atlanta is kind of figuring it out still. But what are you doing if you're a Bijan owner right now? Asking for advice on live.
Yeah, yeah. I think you got to hold because, like you said last year, there was a bit more of a split until Bijan kind of showed that he was really the clear class between those two players. So as the season went on, Bijan improved last year. So I think you hold on him, but I mean, stop me when you've heard enough, Kamish. But these are all players that have had more attempts than scrimmage than Bijan Robinson this season. Ramondre Stevenson, Tony
Super late.
Pollard,
Who's been
Devin
stud?
Singletary,
Who's been putting up numbers?
yeah, Najee Harris, who's
Oh God,
been ass,
that's it.
bro.
That's it. I've
He's
had
been
it. I
complete
hate Najee.
ass, right? So and Najee, who's like an awful running back. Like, I mean, whoever drafts him, God help you, because Najee Harris, it looks like the worst starting running back in the league. He's had far more attempts from scrimmage than Bijan Robinson, almost 20 more attempts from scrimmage over the course of the first 4 weeks. So, the usage is just not enough for both of these guys. That's really what makes me concerned is that both Breece and Bijan are huge playmakers. Bijan can make outstanding all-world plays. Breece can too, but you really got to use them. Like, people drafted these motherfuckers high.
Yeah.
Myself, you drafted these guys. I mean, these were top three guys in every running back class in every draft. I want to see top three performances.
Yeah, it's kind of tough. I mean, what's holding on to a lot of these players right now is like, well, Brees and Bijan in general, right? So them just being able to catch and get those yards, honestly, is what's like is what's keeping them like fantasy viable, man. Like right now, let me read through this list of the first all these running backs are doing better. Jeez, man. Oh my God. This is such a long list, bro. Before we even get to Brees Hall. So, and Brees Hall is ahead. So, Brees Hall and Bijan right now are, I want to say they're sitting outside the top 15 running backs through week, which is wild. Number one, you got Alvin Kamara, Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, Kyron Williams, Jordan Mason. Round up your top five. Coming in at 6 through 10, you got Jonathan Taylor, Jameer Gibbs. Jameer Gibbs and David Montgomery are both tied in fantasy points,
Yep,
and they're
a
both
point
in the
six
top 10.
difference. Yeah. Yep.
And they're both in the top 10. Rounded out by Aaron Jones and James Cook. And then we start getting deeper. You still haven't heard your running backs' names are being called, man. Brian Robinson Jr., Zach Charbonnet, Mark. This
Yep.
is a guy who like got most of his points in the weeks that Kenneth Walker was out. And he's ahead of both of these guys. James Conner's on this list. Devon A. Chan, who doesn't have Tua and is still ahead of Breece and Bijan is just crazy to me. Chuba Hubbard, bro, I'm gonna stop because I'm getting annoyed now. Now that you've actually like brought this to my attention, I'm kind of getting mad now. Chuba Hubbard is ahead of Bijan, bro, in fantasy points. Like, come on.
Kenneth Walker is ahead of Bijan, and he missed 2 games. He only played 2 games this season, and he's ahead of Bijan Robinson. Like, Bijan's got to get it together. Breece has got to get it together. Let's see some Saquon-like performances. Let's see some King Henry-like performances out of these guys.
That's insane, man. I'm so glad I actually took the time to look at this list because it really is an eye opener. Like, I know Tyler offered me a trade, and I would never trade Bijan because of my pride. I just have to write it out and hope it turns it around. But he actually, it wasn't not a bad trade. He offered me James Conner and Jaden Reed for Bijan, which is like, it's really sick when you think
Call.
about it because James Conner went so late. And then Jaden Reed, I don't even know if he drafted Jaden Reed. If he did, it was super late. It had to be in the later rounds. So it's just sick when you really sit and think about it. Like, okay, you're trading your first overall pick for pick 6, for round 6 guy and round 13 guy. Yeah, let's do that. But that's
Yeah,
fantasy
that's a
for
tough
you,
look,
man.
but as they say, yesterday's price is not today's price.
Come on, man. And now the good part, baby. The power rankings are back.
Let's go. Ladies
The
and
power,
gentlemen, I
the
know you've been
power
waiting for the
rankings.
power rankings.
I mean, let's be real. It's week. We're heading into week 5. The power rankings, pretty much. Like I looked at the list, right, Mark, that you sent over. I was kind of analyzing, and like they pretty much coincide with where we're at right now in our league. And I think because it's still too tight, but let's throw it up here. So week 5, man. And let's start from all the way to the back. I think this is the first time in the history of this league that we have 2 teams that are 0-4. Usually it's 1, and by now the 2 crappy teams actually wind up playing each other. So it's like somebody has to win. Somebody has to get their first win. But Poncho and Jeremy have yet to clash, to meet. So they're both playing different teams again this week. So we might have 2 0-5 teams, man. But Ponch and Jeremy, what's going on, man? Mark, what talk to me here.
Yeah, and I think to a certain extent you're just stuck with some injury bug concerns with both of these guys, right? So losing McCaffrey, one would expect to lose a few games. McCaffrey is worth a few fantasy football wins. Pacheco and Tyreek Hill, those are basically losses at this point. Tyreek having lost to us, so and Pacheco with the leg break. So I think both of these guys, I mean, injuries. That's the reason they're down there.
Yeah. Um Rounding up me, man. The greatest fall off ever, bro. I I have been in second place for weeks 1, 2, 3, and 4. I have been sitting in second, like no lower, no higher, obviously, because Thanos runs this league, ladies and gentlemen. And by the way, bro, going back to Thanos, going back to your team. No, I'll save it to when we get to your stupid ass team, your 4-0 team. Uh, but I don't think I've ever seen like if we would have had power rankings last week, I don't think I would have done the show this week, bro. Because going from 2 to 8 is crazy.
Yeah,
It's
it's a
crazy.
tough look, but I mean, obviously the commission's got injuries as well, which is a common theme for all these lower tier teams. Because look, you lost Rashi Rice, who's been one of the best wide receivers in the league so far to start the season. AJ Brown has been basically not starting for. Has he played this season? I don't
Yeah,
even know.
week
Did he play
week
one game?
one week one he gave
Okay.
me 20 points, bro. And like Rushy Rice, AJ Brown, and with no AJ Brown and no this who's your wide receiver?
Devontae?
From the
Deontay?
Eagles, Devontae. With no
Devontae
Devontae
Smith.
Smith,
Yeah.
like how do you even start Jalen Hurts? So he's scratched because you're not he has nobody to throw it to. You're not gonna start him. So I didn't have Trey McBride, he had a concussion. Geez, man, my team was depleted. Austin Eckler concussion, and then Jalen Waddle, who I counted on in the first 2 games, who was actually doing great. Now, obviously, the no Tua effect affected every single Miami Dolphin. So I'm happy that I got my first 2 wins, like to start off. And I've been going through the injury bug these last 2 weeks, um, because everybody is going to get healthy after this bye week. I have, bye weeks right now with the Eagles, and AJ Brown is expected back. And then, in 2 more weeks, we'll see Tua again. So it's just, man, it's been bad. And, injuries happen. Injuries are part of the game, but hate to be an eighth. Mexico at 2-2, and Javi uh,
Is
to
it
round up
Michigan?
the
Oh
bottom
shit,
five.
man.
You good, man? I
All
keep
right,
losing you this
we're
stream.
having some yeah, we're having some technical difficulties. I don't know if it's your end or my end. My internet appears to be working fine, but
Yeah.
yeah, obviously injuries a concern for your team, and injuries a concern for the next team as well for Mexico, with Puka Nakua, who you know, as they say, Puka Nakua, the Samoan translation, the Samoan Jerry Rice, right? Puka Nakua translates to Jerry Rice in Samoan. Has been out basically the entire season as well. So I will say though that I think Mexico, if you're listening, man, this team does not look good on paper. Even if Puka was healthy, like having to start DeAndre Swift and Najee Harris this week is like that would make me sick to my stomach having to start those two guys as my running
but Me-
backs. So
but Mexico's team never looks good on paper every year. I mean, let's be real. It never looks
true.
good, but it always gets in somehow, and then he ends up winning games. I mean, it's ridiculous. But yeah, it doesn't look good. Javi, a nice stat, Javi, if you're listening, bro. You're 2-2. The 2 games you did win are when Saquon Barkley put up 30 plus, and when Barkley didn't, you have lost. So, do we have this kind of voodoo coming back? Remember when we got on Ty about this
Oh,
about
Lamar.
Lamar? Yeah, the whole Lamar situation. Is this
All
going to be
right,
another
I don't think the voodoo is on yet, but we will be monitoring this, ladies and gentlemen. We will be monitoring this moving forward.
it's interesting, man. Mike, Alex, Alex has been really happy about his team, by the way. Sitting at 2-2, he's really excited, really happy about it. Um, but I kind of like that almost the entire league is 2-2. Uh, Tyler has fought his way back. Julian's up here, who, man, like Julian's team is kind of stacked. When I kind of, I mean, when I kind of look at it, it's second least stacked compared to Thanos. But he's got some receivers, bro. Did you expect Justin Jefferson to be this good this year? Like, be real.
Oh, are you gonna let me boast about how I called this in advance? How I called
Go.
this weeks ago, ladies and gentlemen. Week 1. What did I say? Sam Darnold, coming out of a year with the best offensive mind in football, Kyle Shanahan, has gone and taken these Minnesota Vikings to 4-0, made Justin Jefferson look like an absolute stud, made Jordan Addison look like a beast as soon as he came back. Sam Darnold, oh, I love to see how good he's playing. Love that Mike dropped Anthony Richardson for Sam Darnold.
Woo!
What a prescient decision there, because Anthony Richardson ended up getting injured that game when he dropped them. So, and look, it hasn't been a great start to the season for Anthony Richardson, even coming from a Colts fan. But Sam Darnold, ladies and gentlemen, he has become fantasy relevant. Arguably a more secure, solid start than Patrick Mahomes week in, week out.
Uh, I want to just dive into this really quick because Sam Darnold, man, and just the quarterback position has kind of been hasn't been great, man. Like I said on the last pod, it's like the touchdowns are down, the yards are down, but Darnold found himself right now, currently sitting as a QB4, ladies and gentlemen. And look at this: every single game, he has at least 2 touchdowns in every game. Two, two, four, three, playing out of his mind, and he doesn't even have full strength yet, man. TJ, Hawkinson, your boy Hawk is on the way. They're gonna get some tight ends and all I want to know is I know you called this weeks ago before the season started. You said Sam Darnold's going to be MVP, and I said you're fucking crazy. And where was this when we were in Vegas, bro? We could have laid 100. We could have got $50 each and threw 100 on Sam Darnold to win the MVP because right now he's leading the MVP, and like his odds were like something crazy, like plus 50,000 or something. Because it's like nobody would have ever thought about this, man. It's crazy.
Who's to say I didn't?
Yeah,
No, I
man.
didn't. I wish
We
I
were
did.
in
I wish
Vegas.
I did. I wish I did. But yeah.
We were in Vegas. This would have been an awesome. Oh man, that would have been awesome. But so yeah, Sam Darnold. So shout out to Mike again. The waiver wire. It's about time. I mean, and you were thinking about it for a while. Actually, you didn't have anybody to drop. I remember in the group chat you were like, "Man, I want to pick up my boy Sam Darnold. I want to pick him up. He's been doing good." And Mike just eventually beat you to it, man. So he was sitting
Smart
out there
pick.
for too long. He was sitting out
Yeah,
there
he
for too long.
was.
And now Thanos, man, I gotta bring it back. Bring it back to the stage. We got
You
the
love to
most
see it.
unreal team I've seen in any league in a while. Have I played you yet, by the way?
I don't think so.
Oh man, I was
Have we?
hoping I played you
No.
already. Damn it. I got you covered. At least I don't gotta play you twice. But what an unreal team, bro. Do you remember watching the first Avengers? Like, what was the first one called? Endgame? No, Endgame was the second
Yeah,
one,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I know
Or
which one
was
you're
it
talking about, but
Infinity
yeah,
War? I don't know.
something
The
like that.
very
Yeah.
first one, like, went to the theater. That shit was packed. And then I just remember, like, you remember at the end scene, right? When Thanos snapped his fingers and everybody left the theater all quiet and fucking defeated and shit and like all sad. Bro, seriously, this is how I feel every time I glance at your fucking team because even your bench is like stacked. And like I just feel like we're playing for nothing, man. We're fucking playing for nothing this year.
We shall see. It's only been 4 weeks, but you love to see it. You love how deep this team is. Obviously, need a tight end out there because Kyle Pitts has been god awful for me. But Kamish, thank you for the comparison to Thanos. I think it's only appropriate that we end this pod in one way. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next week. Kamish, do you have any final words?
Nah, man. Shit. I'm kind of scared for this weekend. I play Punch, who doesn't have a win yet. My team is depleted, so we're both. It should be a fucking good match. I predict like 66 to 59 or something crazy like that. Oh, by the
All
way,
right.
I dodged Jackie Robinson, baby. Poncho, you're still the
Just
leader
barely.
for the
Just
lowest score
barely.
ever in this
And
league.
we pulled the half PPR points, and Sergio would have still beat you by 0.16, I believe, or 0.06, something like that. But yeah, another competition to watch this week. Should be a fun game. Everybody enjoy your weekend, and let's just end it with this.